Hello everyone, this video is not sponsored. I bought this motorcycle restaurant or diner set for $130 US on Amazon. Looks like the standard retail price though is $140, so that's the number that I'll be looking at when I'm talking about and considering value. And as for the part count, this company is really pushing away from a focus on part count as a measure of value. So as far as I've seen, they don't list the exact part count, but they give you an estimate of something in the range of roughly 2,500 pieces. I personally am a big fan of not putting a focus on part count because if you have a set that has all tiny pieces, well, the price to part ratio can look amazing, but the actual value can be terrible. So it's better to just look at the thing itself. And looking at this thing itself, I like it. The overall build was mostly pretty good. The bricks are made by Go Bricks for this company, and Go Bricks is well known for high quality. There is one quality issue, which you may see on your screen right now, but if you don't, I will definitely call it out specifically in the future. This does have some things that can open, does not have any lighting in it, does not have any stickers, so anything that looks like a decoration is just done with prints, and increasingly these folks are switching to pad printing or tampo printing rather than UV printing. So smoother, just better feeling, better resolution, but sometimes not as good of opacity on the prints as UVs. For example, right here, this sign is lacking in opacity. The white is showing some of the red through, and that's a disappointing step down to me in as far as what I consider personally to be quality. Some of the prints I think are just fine, and probably some of that comes down to just how much of white is used and just how much things stand out. But yeah, definitely I prefer to have a nice bright white and colors to be exactly how you expect them to be, especially if a color is intended to match the color of a plastic part that is nearby. The base here, as you can see, is built with just a layer of plate and then a layer of tiles on top. The size is 32 by 32, your standard modular size. Unfortunately, this is definitely lacking in studs for figures to be attached. We'll look at figures later on because this not being the leading brand, the figures are going to be polarizing. Some folks will love them, some folks will hate them, and I just like to leave that for later. These motorcycle builds look great, but they're fragile. There are several different styles of fully custom built motorcycle designs in this, which I really appreciate. They're making good use of their part inventory. Nice techniques, but as you can see, this one doesn't have a kickstand, so it tends to fall over easily. Also, the way that they hold the wheels together is not great. You can see it's kind of loose in there, and it was just a little bit difficult to get lined up. It's just more of an advanced level thing that I think looks fantastic. Doesn't actually work with the figures. Unfortunately, figures cannot ride these things and just doesn't stand up particularly well. And like I said, it's a little bit on the fragile side. You just can't grab it and play with it. Just keep that in mind in general. Here's another one here. Wow, the rake angle on the fork is crazy. I very much appreciate the silver color that's used for a lot of the pieces. It's actually painted silver and it's nice and bright. I like this shaping here. I like the use of the roller coaster track going around here and the sand blue. The colors in general, I appreciate on this. I appreciate a lot of clear pieces used in this build as well. And as you can see, you get just some nice views all the way around. Now, this lower level does not have an opening section back here, so you can't see the interior easily. The garage door is able to roll up. There's another motorcycle right here. Actually, that one's attached right now. Oh, we'll talk about that one later once we do open this up and look at it from the top. But here is the one quality issue that I encountered in this set. It's relatively rare. Usually from Go Bricks, usually if I have a problem with their parts, it's going to be color match. Sometimes a slightly different formulation of resin, of ABS resin used for parts that move like hinges might have a slightly different color. They get the dye wrong on that. But this piece right here, you can see has a little bit of warp. The top piece here, it's warped a little bit. It's bent like that. And I can actually see when I look really carefully at some of the evidence on here that this one was just a little bit hot when it came out of the mold. I haven't seen that happen before. And as a result, it warped as it was cooling down. This is the outdoor seating for the restaurant portion of this. The bottom portion is motorcycle dealer and repairs. And then here your restaurant is on this next level, kind of the middle level, and that extends up above as well. So this is all outdoor. Obviously you got the grill over here. Unfortunately, the top of this is not able to come down all the way, even when you do remove the food from in there. But the build is nice. Each of these seats can be sat on by the figures, which is a good thing. Thankfully, there's a reason that I actually specifically call that out. It'll make sense once we start looking at the figures. Overall detailing for this building is nice. Now notice that the building does get very small right here. It becomes it takes up less than a quarter of the space of the base plate. So you're looking at, I think it's under 16. Sorry, I didn't measure it here, but just the overall size does get reduced down quite a bit. So even though the base is full modular, 32 by 32. By the time you get to some of this upper stuff, it is reduced quite a bit. Same thing continues here, and I will show you the interior momentarily. I just wanted you to see the rest of the exterior first. The build of this is a little bit finicky in here. You can kind of change the angles of these lines, these vertical elements in here a bit. They're just not attached with a lot of studs. But I do like how it all worked out. I do like the clear pieces. I do like that the clear pieces were well protected in their own bags, so they're not scuffed up. And there are some parts that you just don't see in these colors typically from especially the leading brand. Obviously, this is made with just regular pieces. And then finally up top, there is just some rooftop seating, and there is interior space inside of the tower as well. But you've got the suggestion of access for figures to make their way all the way up. I actually really love this lounge chair. It's not fully attached. It's just clever the way that it's built. It's simple. But before I start really tearing this thing apart so you can see more of the interior, let me just open up this side panel here to show you that can happen, and then open up this here as well, which, yeah, this is tricky. You know what? Learning in real time. Okay. All right. I just didn't realize that's the easier way to get these open, is to grab one of these insets and then just push to the right. I was trying to find a way to pull it out, but just push to the right. There you go. That does it. So that's how you get the easiest access to the interior, and then you can see the interior details as well. So the back wall, the back bar wall over here, I think it's mostly self-service at that point. Without light inside of here, obviously you're not able to see a tremendous amount. I can bring in an artificial light to just add to the interior, but I'm actually going to take the upper floors off so that you can see this better. They've got the nice little jukebox in there, which is a reference to the larger build. You can see stairs going up the side for, again, that suggestion of access for figures to be able to actually get through this space. And I just wanted you to see right now what this looks like when you simply look at it from the outside. And again, you do need to add a little bit of extra light if you want to properly see inside of there, which is unfortunate. At least you can see the details. It's just dark, right? I am absolutely spoiled by companies that include lighting in their sets. Now, of course, lighting does require more cost, but so here we go. Let's start actually getting in here in a way that you can see inside, and I mean fully see inside. So right there you got a TV. It's old CRT TV, and it's partially kind of embedded into the build for the facade out here. It's actually pretty efficient the way that it's done, and the screen has nothing on it right now, unfortunately, but at least that is a print. You got a couple of game controllers up here on the wall, so some retro gaming occurs there, and just a small little build for the chair, which again is able to accommodate one figure. You might look at that and say, well, but there's only one stud and it's in the middle. That's not going to work. Well, wait till you see their figures. It will make sense. Trust me on this one. So that's what we get for detail at this level. Now I can just go ahead and pull this off and start looking at the next level down. This has a nice little pool table, so you can see the cue rack is up there. Pool table build itself is pretty straightforward. This is just a lounge area, right? And it's nice. That doesn't have any stud in it, so if you put a figure there, they're just going to be kind of sat in place. They're not really going to be properly attached. Got a record up here, that's a print. Got the dartboard over here, that's a print. It's just some extra advertisement that's up here, which kind of makes sense. I think makes sense to, just with the theme for this level right here. And you've got the gramophone over here, which is a reference to a set that Pantasy makes in large scale that I reviewed previously. This is another print right over here. And then finally, I love this V4 engine in the corner. I love the build of that. It was just a real treat to see that come together. And once again, it's integrated nicely into the build for the facade without adding a whole bunch of extra thickness or complexity to it. It just does its job. Once again, unfortunately, the floor is severely lacking in studs to attach figure feet to. Pretty much every company, I think, needs to work on that. But then I understand that a lot of adult fans of brick built stuff prefer to have everything tiled off. So how do you have everything tiled off to satiate those fans and want everything to be stud free, but then also have the practical consideration of places to have figures stand without falling over easily? Next level down, you can see you got the little port here where the stairway comes up. I can easily just remove this. All of this is really easy to access and to use. Great use of space underneath the stairs over here. I like that. Very good. Got some lights up here on the side. There's that jukebox, which is a good little build. It's pretty well figure scaled, maybe slightly oversized, but not too bad. And a single booth over here, a single indoor booth, which again can accommodate figures, but does not have any studs in it to actually hold their, I'll just say their legs in place so they can slide around. Only one will fit on either side. Maybe you can barely get a second one to kind of be just hanging on the edge. I think it's mostly just one per side. This is a print over here. You can see it's able to kind of rotate around just a little bit. Print for the clock. That's a print up there only on one side for that checkered flag. And then once again, I think we already saw this, but I'll go ahead and close this up and just give you a better idea. Sorry, I didn't do this up above, but just a better idea of how this all integrates together in the space. See, it just makes more sense like that. Now there is one stud right there to stand to get a drink, but that's just it, just the one. I'm glad that they didn't stick with the plain black and white color for the checkering for the floor here. And now I've put all of the upper floors back together, and I'll just pick all those up together so that we can see the bottom floor. That was just a leg of poultry that fell out of the grill right there because it's not properly attached. And this is the ground floor. Now this space is really nice, but I did not pick up the motorcycle in order to make a point that this motorcycle does not stay on its stand well. There might be a trick to it, but for the most part, if you vibrate this a little bit, I mean, of course, now it's making a liar out of me. Every other time it was falling off one way or another. But yeah, it's not the best stand. The motorcycle itself, I mean, this design looks great once again. Sorry about that. Looks, I mean, just it's a really nice custom design. But once again, it does not hold a figure. Once again, it's fragile. Once again, the wheels aren't held particularly well. It's not going to fall apart on its own, but just don't mess with it too much. And then again, the stand itself doesn't really help to secure it. Unlike with this one over here, which actually has a stud on the underside that's able to attach. You can see you've got the little clear pieces under here that help that to work out. So I can line this up, have more of a vintage cafe racer kind of design here, I would say is kind of what they're going for. Although no seat, low fender in the back. I don't know. Just kind of the overall feel that I get looking at this is like that. But or could be oval track, dirt track racer sort of thing. Anyway, it's a cool design for sure. And I'm glad that this one is able to be attached at least to a stud. I'll go ahead and bring this down. You do have this tool cart. Now this is not able to open up. It just has a couple tools attached to the back, but the drawers don't actually work on this. But this is divided into kind of two areas. You got the showroom area, and then you got the shop area. So the showroom area has, we're looking at the backs of these right now, but it has all those helmets in different colors, which do not work with the figures. with the Pantasy figures, but they do work with traditional standard figures from the leading brand and other companies. Over here, you have suggestions of a bunch of hubcaps, wheels, which don't work with the motorcycles in this set. They work with cars, completely different, unrelated. This is all just for looks. You just have to kind of accept that. It's just for looks. I'm okay with that, but you know, if you expect to be able to use these accessories, you might be a little bit disappointed. More prints off to the side. Like, this is a nice level of detail. This feels pretty right to me. Even the cash register itself has a print on it. You get the vintage style of cash register. And I forgot to mention, this is just the smallest possible build for a water cooler. And then over here in the workshop, obviously some more tools, stuff up on the wall. Good use of verticality there. I like the suggestions of the part containers here. Big old gas can over there. It's hard to see, but this is actually an extra set of shelves. Sorry, it's really hard to get a good look at it. Let me see if I can do this. Does that help? Not really. These slide, by the way. Slide open. You can kind of see it back in there. I'm not getting a good focus on it, but a set of shelves that look nice with some good detail behind the cashier. And then you also have employee only entrance exit. Maybe a little bit of smoking goes on back there, you know, smoke break space. Got some money down there, which is also printed. And then again, the roll up garage door, which I'm just too biased in favor of. I love roll-up garage doors in brick-based things, just in general. And there's what that looks like in there. I like that the arrow is actually built in. And again, the base is done with just a single layer of plate, followed by tiles on top. Not too much bending in there, too much warping the way that it's bent. They do have enough small pieces on top, so it's not fighting itself with the clutch power. You can see basically the ground level view as you look in there. You got some suggestions of batteries or actually not batteries. Those would be motor oil and transmission oil by the gallon, and some smaller ones off to the side. I think that's pretty much it for detail. It is unfortunate that you're not able to get viewing of the shop space by opening this up. You know, it doesn't have a flap that works, and that's mostly just because they needed to have the accommodation for the garage door to be secure, the roll up to be secure and to fit in there. But otherwise, a nice space, looks great with the floor above removed. Lots of light in there. As soon as you put the floor above, it takes away a lot of that light and just dims it down. This will be the first video where I have shown Pantasy's second generation and exclusive version of figures. And I'm not going to talk about these for too long because figures is always a very contentious point. Some people insist that figures must look like this because that's what they're used to. And anything that doesn't look like that and doesn't follow this exact template is bad. But then as soon as I say that, then it's like folks are like, no, actually, I love everything other than those figures. I just don't like these in particular for some specific reason. So some people like them, some people don't. It is what it is. I think it's a completely legitimate design that Pantasy has come up with for these. I think that they deserve to exist. I think that they should exist. I think that it's unique. I think that the cutesy thing, the super deformed thing, is a thing. It's clearly a thing. There are so many lines of super deformed figures out there with big heads, not in the world of brick built stuff, but just in general. So many people, you know, Nendoroids and Funko Pops, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. There are so many. It's a valid thing. But that said, it's different. It's unlike anything I think I've seen in the brick compatible world. And they do have some limitations. Those big old heads mean that they don't fit in some spaces, or it's, you know, more difficult to fit some of them side by side. The print quality on these is good. The articulation is head. If I can get this to focus, please. Yes, head rotates. Good. Arm up and down. Wrists rotate. Yes. Clip size right there. No rotation at the waist. I'm just a little bit spoiled about that. No movement of the legs, no independent movement of the legs. You are able to move the feet in and out just a little bit, but these feet actually are fairly keyed in. They give you a second set of feet. However, to go with a second set of legs, in the seated position. So you see these feet don't have any holes on the base of them, so they're not going to attach to anything like the standing ones attach. And this has a single hole. Don't be lewd about it. It has a single anti-stud, yes, for attaching to those seats that you saw that I called out along the way. It works. It simply works. I personally don't like having to swap the entire legs of the figure to make it sit down, but for a simple display, it definitely works. You can see you got a print right there as well. And just generally, again, the quality of these is pretty good, but I understand that they're not going to be loved by everyone. Another problem that I have with these, you already saw it multiple times. They are top heavy and specifically back heavy. They fall backwards way too easily. Just a little bit of vibration in the ground, especially this one, just has too much weight in that hair. And again, this particular set doesn't have a whole lot of studs in the floor to hold the figure feet. So you're probably going to be having this happen quite a bit. And that's not a good thing. Too bad. Yeah, they need to fix that. They need to make stands for these or just include more studs, at least options for more studs in the floors, or change the center of gravity of the figures. I mean, these are printed around the back, some of them as well, but yeah, that can get very annoying very quickly. Look at this. Good looking figure, like just, yeah. At least they do include the seated version of legs for every single figure in this set. Unfortunately, they are back heavy in seated form as well. So once again, if they're not attached to studs, they're probably going to fall over a little bit easily. Helps to have something behind them for sure, but yeah, balance remains an issue. Center of gravity remains an issue with these. Minifigures notwithstanding, I think this is a very charming set. I really enjoyed putting it together. I think that it displays very, very nicely. It is 100% a set made for adults. It is not made for playing with for sure. You can play with it, but it definitely needed better accommodation for holding the figures, and definitely the motorcycles are not made for play whatsoever. So to me, this seems very clearly targeted towards adult collectors who are going to build the thing and put it on display. Maybe occasionally move some figures around, but you'll need to do a little bit of customization to start with, other than putting figures in seats around this thing. It has its quirks though. Like I said, I did have one part that's a little bit malformed here, and it does seem a little bit dark, especially down on the ground floor, which is a beautiful floor with that nice white and black checker and all of the details down there, but you're not able to see a lot of that once the upper floors are on, and they don't give you an easy access port or panel from around the side the way that they do up here. It looks like I might have put this on wrong too. Yeah, this one might be just slightly off, so I got to find the spot. What I did wrong there was just hurrying a little bit too much. These access panels are nice, especially once I figured out that opening this is easy. Don't try to do like this. Just open it from here. That works. And this one, yeah, same sort of thing right there. I guess they could have put a little handle on it, but I do appreciate that this is nice and flat, so you can put this right up against another building if you have one. That's a good improvement. Some companies have not been getting that right. And same thing over here. This is nice and flat. So if you have another building that comes right up to the edge and has its build comes right up to the edge, you can put this directly there without any interference, without needing to do any customization. I like the prints, but the switch to these higher production rate tempo prints, which are smoother, higher resolution as well, has come with a reduction in opacity, especially for the whites, for the lighter colors. I hope that they'll be able to work on that in the future. Again, the price of this, the retail price of it is $140 US, and it's approximately something in the general rough range of 2,500 pieces. They are using a system on their website where they show you blocks of 500 pieces, and they give you an estimate, basically rounded to the nearest 500. They don't say if it's up or down. Again, I'm 100% behind that taking the freaking focus away from part count, which is just the most ridiculous thing that doesn't make sense to focus on. If something has 2,000 pieces and the average part size is like this, it's not going to have the same value, comparable value to something that has 2,000 pieces and the average piece is a 1x1 cheese slope or a stud piece. It just doesn't make sense. And no weight, weighing the mass of the plastic doesn't make sense either, because this is not corn or coal or any other commodity like that. You have to consider the whole thing. The size of it, the complexity of it, level of detail, access to those details. Is it going to matter? If it has a ton of detail, you never see it again. That doesn't add that much actual value. The build process, does it feel good to put together? This, for me, felt really good to put together, and I'm happy to have it done now. They need to just keep working. This is a huge step up, I think, from their first couple of modulars, and I want to see them continue to improve and keep these prices nice and low and super competitive. If this was the leading brand, this would easily cost at least $200, at least at the very minimum, and wouldn't have 1/20th as many unique prints included. So, and recolors as well. Yeah. Lots of good stuff here. Not perfect. I hope that I've given you a good idea about what it's all about. And I thank you for making it this far in the video. If you do want to make a purchase of some of the things that you see me covering on this channel, please do consider using one of my affiliate links in the video description. I'm never going to push you to say, hey, you should buy this so that I can make money. But if you do see something that you like, or you do want to support my channel, if you're going to make a purchase at a retailer that you see there, especially Amazon, but we've also got at least one other. Hopefully there will be more in the future. That just helps me out a ton. Allows me to buy more of these things to be able to build them. Because, it does add up. I am buying more and more stuff for this channel to just bring more visibility to more different brands and to educate myself on what's out there and to make sure that I understand what value we as consumers can expect out of good quality ABS plastic in a standardized brick building form. And that just helps me to put everything into better perspective. So again, thank you for your support, and I'll keep it going and talk to you again soon. Bye for now.